Hi everybody, so today we're going to be making one of my favorite keto desserts because it's quick and easy and really, really good. And we can make virtually the entire thing from scratch. It requires only a few ingredients, all are really keto friendly. Pecans, Lily's chocolate, coconut oil, coconut butter, some swerve, and avocado oil. So the first thing that I like to do is spritz with avocado oil lightly each of our pans. So we're just gonna use your basic cupcake pan, sheet, whatever you guys call these. And you can put parchment paper in each, but I don't like that. And if you spritz the bottom of each really lightly like this, then you don't need any of the parchment paper or foil. So this is the first thing, and then I put this in the freezer while we get everything else ready. So while that's freezing, the next thing you're gonna wanna do is take your Lily's chocolate. We're gonna be using in total 5 ounces of Lily's chocolate. And so I like to weigh and measure everything. So turn your scale on, scissors if I need them. I like to do 2.5 ounces at a time because we're gonna use them in different increments, and you'll see why in just a second. This first thing. So that is perfectly 2.5 ounces. So the next thing we're gonna do is take about a tablespoon of coconut oil. Put it right over top of the chocolate. Make sure that this is a microwave safe bowl because we're gonna put this in the microwave for, I like to do it in 10-second increments because you can really quickly burn the chocolate and that's no good. So bring it out after 10 seconds, stir it up. You can see how it hasn't quite melted just yet, so let's do another 10 seconds. Here we go. Starting to see that it's melting. You want it just at the place where it's fully melted and combined together. You give it another, I'd say 5 seconds and we're there. Perfect. Grab your cupcake tin out of the freezer, and we're gonna take this 2.5 ounces of chocolate and put this down as the base, and then we're going to put it back in the freezer. So I changed this recipe from many of the ones I found online for peanut butter cups, and I changed it because there were 4.5 grams of net carbs per peanut butter cup, and that was just way too much for me to have for one sweet treat. I didn't think that it was justified. I also don't love peanut butter, so I started to mess with the recipe, and I found that these are really fulfilling. They cure my sort of sweet tooth and give me that needed sweet, but they're also not too carb heavy. So each one of these cups is only 2 to 2.5 grams of net carbs, depending upon if you add more pecan butter. I'm only going to add 3 tablespoons of pecan butter and 3 tablespoons of cocoa butter. So all in, you've got around 2.1 grams net carbs. So then I like to spread it out a little bit. It should start freezing because it's cold, so you have to be fast, but you want it to coat the bottom evenly. And there's obviously a ton of chocolate left, and I'm not a waster, so grab a little spatula and keep filling them. Just there. All right. So we are going to use that again for the next round, so let's leave that there. So get it like that, and then put it back in the freezer. That is freezing. We're gonna move on to making our own homemade pecan butter. So I used a tiny little blender like this because my Vitamix is just too large and it requires a pretty hefty amount of pecans and nuts in order to blend it into a nut butter. So I just prefer using this. So we're gonna add our pecans, which I pre-measured. I'm just getting these pecan halves from the store, and I've used 1 5/8 ounces of pecans. So now you can see it's turned it into this really nice nut butter. It's just perfect. It's not a total super smooth consistency, which I prefer because it gives a little texture. We got our pecan butter to put into our cups, and this is seriously and truly how easy it is. So at this stage right here, I actually like to take this bowl and I like to add this to the bowl. Then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of swerve. So take this other side. And you can add cinnamon and cayenne to this and it would be really, really good. Cinnamon just has carbs in it, so I usually like to avoid that a little bit. Okay, my favorite part, our coconut manna. So I usually need to microwave this because it's hard. So I microwave this for probably 10 seconds. Stir it up. And get 3 tablespoons, heaping tablespoons. 1, 2, 3. Mix it together. Make it really nice and creamy. We're gonna take half a teaspoon with a little bit of oil on it, tablespoon. And we are going to fill them up. Or you can do this. And now we're gonna freeze it again. Okay, so now that we've made a mess, we are now though going to make our last step, which is back to the last bit of chocolate. So we wanna do the same thing again. And I just like to reuse the same bowl. I hate making a ton of messes, although this is pretty messy. So we're gonna pull out our scale, put our bowl back on, and we are going to measure out 2.5 ounces of chocolate. Which is messy at this point, but my coconut oil's melted. And then we're gonna go through sort of the same steps. So tablespoon. And now we're going to microwave this for 10 seconds. Okay, so now it's melted. And I put this in for about 30 seconds. It was 15 the first go, and then another 15 seconds, and now it's perfectly melted. It's the perfect consistency. Now we're gonna pull out our cups. And just that quickly, again, they're already frozen. See, fully covered. I'm gonna freeze these until they're hard. After you freeze them, they've been in there for only like 3 minutes, but I wanted to show you what they're like after 3 minutes, just to show you how quick. So this is what I do. I take a little spoon, you don't have to take a big spoon, doesn't matter. Big or a little spoon. And you just go in, you can try to separate all of them, but they don't need to. You can just try to pop them out, and like they pop out that easily, look. So this is what they look like. They're honestly just that easy. And I pop them all out. Boom, pops out. Look at that. Isn't that just awesome? Let me know if you try this. Let me know if you like it.